Happy Solemnity of Christ the King. Happy final Sunday of the church year. Next weekend we'll start the first week of Advent, which is a brand new church year. So this Feast of Christ the King should be a big deal for us, right? It's a transitional time in the year. It's this Solemnity of Jesus Christ, not just King of me or King of the world. He's King of the universe, is what the church calls this feast day. So that's an awesome title for this day. The gospel this Sunday is kind of a weird one for us this time of year because we associate it with Easter, right? Good Friday, at least. It's Jesus on the cross. A couple of interesting things about this story. This is the only place in all the Gospels where Jesus is officially declared to be a king, right? The Romans, who are the civil authority at the time, actually write it in a sign above his head. This guy is the King of the Jews. He's officially declared to be so, which is kind of ironic because he's on the cross. The cross is, in a sense, his throne, right? Another interesting thing about it, the only time in Jesus' life when he wore a crown was during his passion. Right? And what's that crown made out of? It's made out of thorns and thistles, right? The crown of thorns. If you remember way back at the beginning of the Bible in Genesis 3, when Adam and Eve messed this whole thing up with the original sin, one of the consequences of that sin is the ground will produce thorns and thistles. And so when Jesus Christ, the King of the universe, finally wears a crown, he takes the results of our dysfunction, the results of our sin, the results of our terrible choices, the results of our deliberate acts of evil, and he wears that as his crown because he's here to redeem that. That's awesome. That's the kind of king that we have, right? This self-sacrificial serving king. And you can see him dealing with this stuff as he's on the cross, right? People are making fun of him. They're yelling at him. That's the garbage that he wears as his crown, to say, I'm here to take that stuff away. I'm with you in it when you deal with that at home, at work, at school, wherever you deal with it, right? And then the next part is the more familiar part of this story, right? The good thief. Right, where the thief is willing to recognize, the one thief is harassing Jesus just like the others, but the other thief is willing to point out, I deserve the bad stuff that's coming my way. Right, this guy is innocent, I deserve the bad stuff. And then he asks Jesus, can you remember me when you come into your kingdom? It's kind of a veiled way of saying, can you forgive me? I'm sorry for my sins, I'm on your side, I want to be with you if you'll have me. And Jesus' response is not, ew, gross, why would I want you on my side? Right? Jesus' response is, yeah, you're crucified as a criminal. You did something wrong. You're dying a horrible, embarrassing death. But today you'll be with me in paradise. Right? When you repent, when I repent, when this thief repents, when we want to be on Jesus' side, he accepts us. No questions asked. As long as we're willing to be on his team. Right? And so this Christ the King, interesting questions for us to consider. Right? What's the evidence that I'm on Jesus' team? What's the evidence that I'm letting him be King of the universe, King of the world, King of my world and my universe? How is he King of my time? How is he King of my abilities? How is he King of my money? How is he King of my toys? How is he King of every facet of my life? Because that's what he needs to be. That's the kind of king we have, and that's the kind of king we want to follow, is this Jesus who's willing to take anybody if they're willing to follow.